My name is Gaspard Gilbert. I'm the co-founder of MAASH. I'm 29 and we just acquired the site of Metex. And we started the company in 2021. I co-founded the company with Frédéric van Gansberg, who basically has industrial expertise in fermentation. He started the first project called Galactic, where they basically use fermentation to produce lactic acid. And then another project called Futero that transforms that lactic acid into polylactic acid that is being used as a bioplastic. And together, these two companies, they already have about 12 different plants all over the world. But basically, Frédéric wanted also to build another company that would use fermentation for something else. And that's where he proposed the project to me, which is to build a fermentation company to produce mycoprotein, which basically is a fungal protein that we can then use as a raw material to sell to end product formulators so that they can basically substitute the meat fraction in their meat products, such as sausages, burgers, chicken nuggets, and all type of applications, basically. It's not a well-known protein ingredient, but it's actually one of the best ones. So today, most people actually, when they don't want to eat meat anymore, they go for the plant-based proteins, such as pea or soy proteins. But today we have much more. You also have the insect-based proteins, but then you have the fermentation-based proteins. And basically, the fermentation-based proteins, they allow a very low carbon footprint of the production of that protein, basically. And to give you an example, fermentation-based proteins such as mycoprotein, when you compare it to beef production, it allows to reduce by 95% the greenhouse gases emitted. It consumes 90% less water content and 99% less land, of course. So that's just typically the impact on the environment, but also the process is much more scalable. Once you basically have put in place an industrial process using fermentation tanks, you can replicate it as many times as you want to basically produce more and more exponentially of that fermentation-based protein. Basically, as humans, when we get the food, we need 20 amino acids that are basically the building blocks of the proteins that we need to sustain ourselves, basically. And out of these 20 amino acids, there's 9 that we cannot synthesize ourselves and that we need to get from the food we eat. Basically, these 9 amino acids, you can get it from the meat. But if you don't eat meat anymore and you consume plant-based proteins, then you're only going to get 6 or 7 of these 9 amino acids. So you're going to lack some of the amino acids that are actually very necessary to the human body. But when you eat fermentation-based proteins, then you get the complete set of all the amino acids and you can be in good health. Basically, the reason that we chose Eastern France is also first geographically. Of course, when you look at France, basically here we're very central to Europe. So it's going to be very easy to basically do business with other countries such as Germany, Belgium still, Holland, Switzerland, etc., etc. Then I have to say that basically the hospitality of Eastern France was a major factor as well, aside the opportunity of Metex, and especially from different actors, I would say, such as, of course, Business France that accompanied us on choosing the site, but also Invest Eastern France, of course, who basically helped us at understanding exactly how it works here in the Région Grand Est. And also, with Moselle Attractivity, basically they made it quite clear what are the objectives of the region, and particularly for the alternative proteins, because there's a real subject in the region, which is to increase the numbers of companies working in that sector, because they identified it as a key factor if in the end we actually really want to make progress in reducing the carbon footprint of the food industry. It's also a big thing is of course we have a lot of utilities that we can benefit from just autonomously, I would say, but then we have big companies and with real industrial know-how that are basically our neighbors here on the platform, and it's in terms of logistics, in terms of other utilities, in terms of wastewater treatment, sorry, and basically also what we have here, the administrative building, is actually from the CASAS, so the Communauté d'agglomération de Saint-Avold de Synergie, and with President Salvatore Coscarella, that also made a nice gesture and made it really easy for us to basically establish ourselves in their building. But aside of this, I would say that indeed the synergies with other expertise from other companies that have tens and tens of years of experience in fermentation or others is just really, really valuable. So what you see here is basically the infrastructure, sorry, that was already here at the time of Metex. It's a quite new building and equipment that is here. So the idea is that we can reuse, revalorize 70 to 80% of that equipment for the process of mycoprotein production. There we can basically have a capacity of 10,000 tons, yearly capacity of 10,000 tons of mycoprotein production. And there's also something else, which basically is right next to the existing building. We have basically available land to add two other capacity of 30,000 tons each, which is going to bring us to a full capacity, yearly capacity of 70,000 tons of mycoprotein produced here on the site.